Hi there, welcome to Switch Mania. I am Clarence and today we'll talk about the best Nintendo Switch games on sale. We will be covering the UK, EU, US, Australia, and Canada eShop. But first and foremost, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you want to see more of this series, please leave a like. Remember to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to receive future notifications. Likes and subscriptions help keep the channel alive. Just a quick reminder, 90% of you guys are not yet subscribed to the channel. If you are enjoying the videos and not subscribed yet, why not? You're coming back anyways. With all that said, let's get back to the video. First on our list is Let's Build a Zoo. You can create over 300,000 hybrid animals, make moral decisions, and run and design your own zoo in this game. Let's Build a Zoo is an excellent blend of creativity and business management. There's a lot to do, a lot of people to meet, and a ridiculous amount of animals to adopt. Let's Build a Zoo is an excellent addition to the park building genre. It allows you to create any type of zoo you want in a fun but not overbearing manner. The graphics are adorable, the music is catchy and sweet, the gameplay is beautiful and smooth, and it's challenging enough to be enjoyable while also being very relaxing and difficult to put down. Next is Just Dance 2023 edition. Just Dance 2023 is the best Just Dance game yet, which isn't surprising given how simple the concept is and how long the franchise has been around. This is still the same simple party game it has always been, but it has a good track list, some beautiful graphics, and the promise of more content in the future, making it worthwhile to purchase for anyone who enjoys dancing. If you want to have a lot of fun, laugh, and get some exercise by accident, Just Dance 2023 is a great choice. I can't dance anymore, but I can have fun flailing around, which is even better because I can do it in the privacy of my own home. I would gladly recommend it. Next up, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope is great and fun, with just the right amount of chaos, thanks to the Rabbids touch. I can't think of a single time when I was bored or didn't understand what was going on because the people who made the game spent as much time and care on the jokes as they did on the gameplay. This is an excellent way for people of all ages to become acquainted with the tactics genre, and it demonstrates how unique and beautiful collaborations can be. I mean, it's pretty obvious that I adore it. When it's this much fun, how could I say no? Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope demonstrates that the first game was no fluke. It also demonstrates how a crazy idea can be turned into one of the year's best games. Next is DEEMO. DEEMO is an extremely gentle game. Its minimalist design is intended to emotionally connect with players rather than intellectually or physically. The end result is similar to sitting down at a piano and playing a favorite song, but without the benefit of an audience or a test of musical ability. DEEMO understands that some people play music simply because they enjoy it. People occasionally play music for the sake of enjoyment. DEEMO is excellent in every way for a game of its type. On the surface, it may appear to be just another rhythm game, but the accuracy of the music and the wide range of songs make it a very engaging experience. It even has a tragic backstory. If you're not into the genre, the premium package may seem pricey, but if you are, it's a no-brainer. Next up, Lanota. Lanota is a rhythm game that works well on the Nintendo Switch. It makes good use of the touchscreen and adds variety to a game that can become monotonous after a while. As you progressed through the long list of songs, you'd notice that each one made clever use of the tuner setup, which kept things interesting. If you're looking for a solid game with great tracks, Lanota won't disappoint. It's a polished and enjoyable rhythm game that I'd recommend to anyone who enjoys that genre. Given how the interface works, I know it's unlikely, but I'd love to see docked mode players get a control option in the future. Next is KAMIKO. KAMIKO is a true find because she is so stylish and has such a captivating sense of movement. It's a short ride, but the stunning pixel art graphics, lush soundtrack, and 3 distinct characters with plenty of room for speedrunning make it well worth revisiting. This is an action-packed package with a distinct style that is less expensive than a prayer plaque. Any Switch owner should look into it. KAMIKO is a sweet little game that combines action and puzzles. It's a lot of fun to play and discover. It doesn't last long, and some of the enemies are fairly easy to dispatch, but the variety of characters and their unique weapons keep it interesting to play again and again, and the speedruns add to the fun. Overall, it's a fun way to spend a few hours, and its sale price right now doesn't make it any less of a steal. Next up, Fairune Collection. Fairune Collection has a lot going for it, and despite the fact that it lacks some RPG mechanics and has a boring story with a lot of backtracking, the 2 main games are a charming and simple take on the top-down adventure genre. None of the 4 games are particularly difficult, but you can play them over and over because you can collect items and earn achievements. If you liked the first 2 games, you'll love this one. However, if this is your first visit to the world of Fairune, you should be aware that you may have discovered the ideal game for a lazy summer afternoon. This is an excellent title because it contains a good amount of adventure while remaining simple to understand. This is a very entertaining collection most of the time, but you'll miss a run button and be disappointed that the next game isn't out yet. A must-have for anyone who enjoys historical adventures. Next is Dark Witch Music Episode, Rudymical. On paper, Dark Witch Music Episode Rudymical is a fantastic idea. The combat-based rhythm action is a welcome change from most games in the genre, but it is never fully realized. There are some brief, promising moments, the art is as good as it has always been in the series, and some parts of the music match your button presses in a very tight, satisfying way, but it falls short when compared to other rhythm action games. I am not saying this is a bad game, it's just not very exciting, and there are already better rhythm action games on Nintendo Switch, such as VOEZ, so this one may be more for fans of the series than fans of the genre in general. Next up, ACA NEOGEO Big Tournament Golf. Even though the core game is old in terms of both appearance and gameplay, this latest release of the NEOGEO Cult Classic has a slew of new features and options to compensate. These re-releases are clearly aimed at fans of retro games in general, or NEOGEO/arcade games in particular. As such, it does not disappoint because it is still a fun and simple to play golf game that was not only one of the best at the time, but also one of the more accessible. Because Neo Turf Masters is a NEOGEO game, it's not surprising that it's still extremely difficult. People who have never played a golf video game before should avoid starting with this one because it does not explain what to look out for before hitting the ball. Know your way around a golf course, whether it's a video game or the real thing. You'll struggle to get good at it if you don't. If you want to play retro golf with your Switch at home or on the go, look no further. Next up, Tactics Ogre, Reborn. Tactics Ogre Reborn is a new version of a game that I could never beat when I was a kid. It made me happy while also making me miss the old game. It's an excellent learning tool with some of the best strategy games available. I hope this leads to remakes of other Ogre battle games, as well as Final Fantasy Tactics games. Tactics Ogre Reborn is an excellent update to one of the best games in the genre. If you enjoy this type of game, you owe it to yourself to give it a shot if you haven't already. Even if you've played a game like this before, there are enough differences and improvements to make it worth a second look. A good take on a game that seems to improve over time. Next is Sophstar. Because it has so much to do and can be played over and over, Sophstar is the best arcade shooter on Switch. It's a real treat to play through its arcade mode on various difficulties and with new ships, because each one feels unique. Even though it's a little annoying that sleep mode frequently disconnects the game from its online servers and forces you to reconnect it manually in the menu, there's not much else to complain about in the game. Sophstar is a fantastic first game from Banana Bytes. Vertical shooter fans should definitely check it out, and I'll be returning to it frequently. Next up, VOEZ. Unlike Project Diva and Guitar Hero, you do not have to press buttons at the same time as the music notes in VOEZ. The interface of the game is a series of lines, one horizontal and several vertical. Note markers flow down the screen from the top to the bottom, where you perform the action required to play the note. Some of the movements, such as tapping and holding, are standard for the genre, but you'll also need to swipe and slide as the path changes. It doesn't sound like much, but it's interesting because of how it's put together. Next is Time on Frog Island. Time on Frog Island is unlikely to ignite the indie scene, but it's a fun trip with interesting characters, a beautiful world, and a level of freedom that rewards those who want to explore. Just keep in mind that, while this island appears to be welcoming, its simple layout may cause you to waste a lot of time figuring out what the heck you're supposed to do next. In the puzzle game Time on Frog Island, you must exchange items with the villagers in order to repair your ship and return home. Because there is no real dialogue or map, you must rely on your exploration skills to locate these items. This game has a touching story and a cute art style, so you can easily spend a few hours playing it. Next up, Cytus Alpha. The only real flaw with this port is that the menus are difficult to understand. If you've never played Cytus before, it may be difficult to figure out how to quickly begin a song, but you'll get the hang of it. It has a lot of good music and is a decent rhythm game for the Nintendo Switch. If you missed the game's mobile release, Cytus Alpha is the best time to start playing. Even the icon is lovely. Cytus Alpha is one of the most enjoyable rhythm games you will ever experience. It's abstract, simple, and focused, but the rhythm game action is addictive. Next is Tiny Metal. Tiny Metal does an excellent job with the core mechanics, despite borrowing heavily from the well-known Advance Wars series. On top of this beautiful base, Area 35 has created a tactical wargame that is as interesting, addicting, and difficult as its inspiration. It also has a surprisingly dramatic and complicated plot. Overall, it feels like a game designed for fans of a very specific series in a very specific genre. If you don't like Advance Wars, you'll almost certainly dislike this. If you like Advance Wars and go into Tiny Metal with reasonable expectations, you'll find a good strategy RPG that borrows from other games freely but respectfully. Next is Necrosphere Deluxe. The Necrosphere is a difficult, cruel, but fair challenge. It modernizes the 2D platformer genre by keeping the controls as simple as possible. Because there are only 2 buttons to control the wide range of movements, players will have to learn how the game works. The length of the main game will be extended with the addition of a harder core bonus. This is an intriguing Metroidvania adventure that fans of the genre will enjoy, but it feels extremely limited in comparison to other games in the genre. Even the simplest method of controlling something will leave you frustrated and worried. If you have patience, however, this is a fun but difficult platformer that you will enjoy. Next is Chiki-Chiki Boxy Racers. Chiki-Chiki Boxy Racers was a lot better in terms of quality and polish than I expected, even if it wasn't as difficult as I had hoped. The majority of the racing reminds me of the old NES game RC Pro AM, but the controls are much better here. Even though experienced racers should have no trouble getting through all 3 circuits, I can see how racing against a friend or if online play picks up would be fun. You could also simply enjoy yourself in one of the 4 different battle modes. This low-cost game has some good racing, and I'd like to see more of it, preferably at a higher level of difficulty. Next up, Tokyo Dark Remembrance. Tokyo Dark, like the best horror films, takes a shocking look at real-world problems and tensions. Tokyo Dark's story has a strong subtext that is told in a nuanced manner with memorable characters and intense images. Cherimochi is a one-of-a-kind developer who created something one-of-a-kind here, and as a result, the team has my attention for whatever comes next. Tokyo Dark Remembrance is a dark indie game that combines point-and-click gameplay with a visual novel-style story. Because of how casual it is, even new players can easily get involved. The only drawback is that it is far too brief. Next up, Implosion. I believe this is the most mainstream-friendly independent game I've played on the Switch, and I believe many people will enjoy it. Despite not being as deep as something from Platinum Games, the game has a good gameplay hook by combining fast-paced melee combo attacks with gunplay and strategic combat. The fact that it comes in a low-cost package with a lot of content right away more than compensates for the fact that it is quite old and has some dated visuals. Implosion provides a challenge and excitement without breaking the bank if you want something to get your blood pumping whether you're at home or on the go. Next is SUPERHOT. The ride in SUPERHOT is exhilarating. It's thrilling when you break up every enemy and make it through a stage without getting hurt. Even though the game is short and the gyroscope controls are difficult to master, it's such a novel concept that it's difficult not to recommend it. Even if you dislike FPS games, you should give it a shot. Above all, SUPERHOT is a game about reacting quickly and adapting to any situation, even when things go wrong. Overall, SUPERHOT on Nintendo Switch is an excellent way to experience one of the best and most unique games released in recent years. If you've already played it, it's not worth purchasing again. But if you've never played SUPERHOT, this version is an excellent choice. Even the icon is nice, which I know is important to many people when it comes to Nintendo Switch games. Next is Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted. Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted is a great game. This game includes new mini-games as well as remade versions of the first 3 Freddy games. Even though it's fantastic that these games have been remade in HD, the fact that the controls aren't well explained and some fan-favorite characters are missing detracts from the experience. The game's simple, short-hit style makes a case for itself and other games like it. It's not entirely original, but it does a good job of bringing the PC to VR game to the console and is entertaining to play. Next up, Solo, Islands of the Heart. Some design decisions and technical issues keep the game from being truly amazing, but when I approached it with an open mind and allowed myself to be vulnerable, it took me on an emotional journey I hadn't had from a game before. Solo Islands of the Heart is an intriguing experiment, despite some flaws. Its puzzle gameplay and mature themes complement each other well. More people will begin playing video games in search of what makes Solo unique. This game provides a tool to help people who are concerned about their own love lives but do not enjoy video games. Next up, Vaporum. Vaporum is a steampunk dungeon crawler game with a mystery hidden beneath a strange laboratory teeming with mechanical creatures out to kill you. I would recommend this game to anyone who enjoys collecting items, solving puzzles, and fighting. Vaporum is a fantastic throwback to the days of dungeon crawlers. The game includes puzzles, exploration, and a compelling story, as well as some basic RPG elements. If you only intend to play this Switch version on the go, be aware that it may cause eye strain. Aside from that, it's a good buy. Fatbot Games did an excellent job of resurrecting an old type of game and giving it a completely new look and feel. The gadgets and circuits can be customized to your specifications, and the plot is dark and intense. These elements combine to create an unforgettable experience. Next is Candle, The Power of the Flame. Today is an excellent day for a thrilling adventure. People who use consoles are extremely fortunate to have reached the end of Tiku Studios' work that combines the best elements of classic graphic adventures with more action and modern studies such as Playdead or Amanita design. A true hidden gem, visually appealing puzzle platformer with challenging but logical puzzles and underutilized story elements. Candle is a fantastic adventure game that brilliantly combines the graphic adventure and platform genres. It has a lovely audio-visual section as well as clever puzzles. Next is Spirit of the North. Spirit of the North may turn off some players due to the fact that they must figure out a lot of things on their own, but that is also what makes it so enjoyable. You play as a creature that cannot speak, but as the game's world and story unfold before you, they say more than any words could. It's not perfect, the controls can be difficult to use, and getting stuck and having to restart is frustrating, but if you can get past that, it's a fantastic adventure. If you want a relaxing game about exploring and discovering new things, Spirit of the North is a great choice for any age or skill level. Next up, Cloudpunk. Cloudpunk is the type of game where the story takes precedence over the gameplay, and it will play much better on different platforms. It has a great story and some great characters to meet along the way, and it's amazing how invested you can get in them despite the fact that all you know about them is what they look like and what they say. The city is massive and beautifully rendered with voxel art, but Switch players will miss out on much of its splendor. But it's also a game where the story takes precedence over everything else, including the gameplay. You can only interact with the game while driving or walking. It's a short ride that's well worth taking as long as people go in with the right expectations. Next is Aragami Shadow Edition. Aragami Shadow Edition is not for everyone due to its slow and difficult gameplay. However, it makes no attempt to be. It's aimed squarely at Tenchu fans, so it should do well. If you're a younger gamer who has never played a true stealth game, Aragami is a great place to start. Overall, the game is a very well-made stealth game that was released prior to the Nintendo Switch and was ported to it. You won't have to worry about removing anything from your system unless you don't have a memory card and are already at the limit of what your system can hold. Have fun with it, but be cautious as you progress from one level to the next. Next is Hayfever. Hayfever is a fun little platformer with a lot of inventive ideas, but it's not perfect because some of the obstacles and checkpoints are poorly designed. This cute world has some great platforming if you can get past the sometimes frustrating stages. Hayfever isn't a groundbreaking platformer, but it's entertaining and challenging enough to warrant a purchase, especially since you can play it multiple times and it's ideal for gamers who like to complete games. There may be a lot of cabin fever going around right now, but Hayfever can help alleviate some of that boredom. Next up, Monster Harvest. Monster Harvest is a good idea from Maple-powered games, in my opinion. Its system mix accomplishes, for the most part, what it set out to do. This is a fact that cannot be disputed. Just keep in mind that there will be a bug waiting to ruin your fun under almost every rock and in the leaves of every tree. What you get out of Monster Harvest will depend on how willing you are to deal with that. Still, there's a lot to like here, and if you enjoyed Stardew Valley or Pokemon, you should check it out. And last, but not the least, the Count Lucanor. I can't say much more about this little gem without giving something away, and since there's no fat on these bones, saying even a little more would be wrong. But I can say that this small, unassuming independent game is a masterclass in tight, focused design, and it provides a great experience with many layers. The Count Lucanor is great fun. It's funny, scary, smart, and creepy all at once. This modern fairy tale is worth reading whether or not Hans gets his happy ending. The Count Lucanor should be added to your Switch eShop library. It's like a scarier version of the Crystal Maze, with a different puzzle to solve in each room of the castle. The story is also well written, which adds to its credibility. It's not long, but it'll stay with you. That's all guys. I hope this video was helpful in deciding which game to play, and thank you for checking out the list. Please remember to subscribe and we'll see you at the next one.